with no further ado, will y'all do me a favor? Let's give God a hand clap of praise and appreciation for Dr. Fred Toke as he comes to minister to us tonight.
Thank you. You may be seated. You don't have to stand. I'm back. It's good to see you all again. For those from Nichols and other churches, well, good evening. My name is Fred. Call me Fred. Doctor is not in my passport. Yeah. Okay, tonight I want to talk about how we can cultivate mental fortitude and resilience. Now, I must first warn you, it's not going to be a 30-minute session. Yeah, because there's so much that I need to cover about, what's going on in here. So I may take about an hour or so. If you need to go, you go. You just miss all the good stuff at the end, that's all. Okay. As introduced this morning, I'm a clinical psychologist by training. I see lots of patients. I work in a hospital before, and I'm also a pastor and overseer in Singapore and Malaysia. And one of the reasons why I became a psychologist was because my grandfather suffered torture during World War II. When the Japanese came to Asia, they were ruthless. They were ruthless. They torture people like my grandfather. And they torture him as a part of an experiment on human resilience. So they would electrocute him, but not want to kill him. So they just want to test out the human spirit, how much they can withstand such torture. So they would electrocute him, and when he fainted, they would stop. Pour water over him, wake him up again, let him dry up, and they would torture him again until his mind went bonkers. Well, his physical body was okay, but then his mind went off. And 3 years after World War II, Singapore was then liberated. One of my mom's neighbors came into my mom's house and told my mom, I think I saw your dad walking in the street out in this road and all that, and you may not recognize him. And so my mom, who wasn't married at that time, went out to the street in Singapore, and true enough, she found her dad. And her dad was unkempt, unwashed, talking to himself, filthy, dirty, and could not recognize his own daughter. And so, with a few friends and neighbors, they tried to bring him home, and they tried to wash him up, but he was violent. He would throw things, knives, and whatever they can grab hold. Everybody becomes an enemy to him. Everybody is a threat to him. And so my mom had to institutionalize my grandfather in the mental hospital, and there he stayed until he died. My mom got married. I was born. And then I remember as a young child, as a young boy, I would visit my grandfather in a mental hospital. He would never acknowledge me as his grandson. And some days when we go on weekends, the ward was shut up because there were violence, there were fighting, and, they would not allow us to go in. And so I would walk the ground of the hospital, seeing all these highly functioning mental patients walking around, talking to themselves. They talk to a tree and all this. And I was, at a very young age, I thought, hey, what's going on in their mind? And what's going on in their lives? And what's going on with my grandfather? And so I decided that when I grow up, I want to help these people. And therefore, I became a psychologist. So during the 70s and the 80s, when you study psychology, nobody liked to study psychology then because they thought that only psychos study psychology. Yeah, so. I actually have a video, but I will just go on to the next one. If we can manage our anxiety, we can manage every emotional turmoil in our lives. Because anxiety is the mother of all psychological problems. If you're suffering from depression, it could be because you had anxiety. If we can solve our anxiety, we can solve a lot of our problem in life. So in the textbook of psychology, some actually believe that there are no such thing as shy people. So are you shy? You say you cannot speak in front of public. There are no such things as shy. There is such a thing as anxious. Show me a shy person, I'll show you the same person who is anxious about meeting people. And when the parents introduce their child, oh, my son, he's always so shy, it only reinforces that behavior. Why would a child or somebody would afraid to approach another person in a social setting? Because they are afraid of being rejected. So they rather not be rejected, so they decided not to go and approach people. And then that becomes the behavior. Depression is the same thing, right? Something happened, you worry that you cannot overcome this, and then you slump into a point where your situation becomes hopeless, then you become helpless, and then you give up. You give up. All the spiritual battles that we face is between our 2 ears here. This thing called your brain. If this doesn't work well, you won't work well. If this thing work well, you will work well. So you got to take care of this. Because you can be alive like my grandfather, living, breathing, but not living. He's alive, but he's not living. Because this thing is not working. So we got to take care of this. We take care of everything in our body. We make up, we dress well, but we don't take care of this. You got to be intentional. Be intentional in taking care of your brain and your thought process. Everything starts with anxiety. And the Bible talks more about anxiety than depression or any other emotions. Did you know that? Be anxious for nothing, but in prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, give it to God. It's about anxiety. Anxiety can help you, but anxiety can kill you too. Your brain is designed to protect you. That's what its main purpose is. It's designed to protect you. For instance, if you're walking up in a cliff or a tall building, as you walk towards the edge, your heart is begin to pump. Because your brain is telling you, danger, 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 danger. So, by walking towards the cliff, you can have a better view of the sunrise and the sunset, but you want to have that better view, your body, your mind doesn't care. It just want to protect you. Hey, be careful, and be careful. And so you decided not to walk closer to the cliff, and you gave up trying to see the sunset or the sunrise. But your brain is designed to protect you. And so the more trauma you suffer or you encounter, the more data it receives, and therefore it will then trigger all these warning signals. The more trauma, unresolved trauma, will cause the brain to trigger all these warning signs. This is bad, that man is bad, that man is bad. Remember what happened to the previous man? This man is bad. Don't you ever try again. So the brain is just designed by God to protect you. But if we don't resolve our emotional traumas, it becomes one of the red flags in the brain to tell you this is bad. The one who raped this woman wore red. Anyone who wore red is bad. Anyone who, my dad, or someone said, my dad wore glasses, he abused me, and anyone who wore glasses is bad. Don't trust that man. He wore glasses. That's how the brain works. Your body doesn't know anything. Your body just responds to your brain. Just imagine, right? Just imagine with me. I have a little lime with me right now. Little lime. And how does a lime taste? Sour, right? And an unripe lime is even more sour, right? Now I have this in my hand right now, and I begin to peel the skin off, and the juice begin to flow. So why some of you are cringing? Like, some of you are salivating. You have this sensation here. Whatever that you imagine may not be the truth. As long as you imagine it, your body responds. What's the line? So the whole spiritual battle is here. The thief came to steal, kill, and destroy. Here. You are bad. You are terrible. You will never make it. Don't you even try to serve. You will embarrass yourself. You will be ashamed of yourself. So all these things here, it attacks you here. And therefore, people are afraid. Because you imagine your body respond. In fact, your body is stupid. It doesn't know anything. It just responds to what it triggers in here. So cast down every thought that come against Jesus. So if we can handle anxiety, we can handle almost every aspect of our life. But you cannot cancel out anxiety totally, because when you cancel out anxiety totally, there's no warning sign for you that there are dangers out there. So it's a very delicate thing. You need to be anxious, but you also need not to be overly anxious. Right? Without anxiety, you will be reckless, careless, callous, doing things without thinking. So it's a delicate balance, and every part of your brain has different function. And the Greek word in the Bible for anxiety is this word called merimnao. It means split mind. So when you are anxious, your mind is split. Split into your imagination, what you're imagining, what you are thinking about, and split between what is the reality here. So when you're overly anxious, you're no longer in the presence. Your mind is out. I'm sure you may have, had dinner, lunch, meals with somebody, and you were talking to them. They were there. They were sitting right in front of you, but they're not there because their mind is off. Their mind is about tomorrow. I have to face this guy. Tomorrow I have to pay the bank. Tomorrow this is so. The mind goes off to tomorrow, but they are not present right now. So the mind is split into two. Now, if it's split into more percentage is given to your imagination, then you're not living in the present. You're not living now. You're just a walking zombie. You may walk in the street and someone that you know may be walking right in front of you, but you will not notice the person until the person calls you, hey, pastor. Oh, sorry. But you can see the person, but your mind is not connecting. That's merimnao. So you are not present. It's dangerous when you're not present while you're driving. And some people, because they were imagining all this stuff and they were driving, and that's what caused accident, because they're not in the present. You want to help your anxiety, you got to be in the present. When you're in the present, you have the presence of mind to do something about it, and you got to be in His presence so that you can have the wisdom of God to help you. So anxiety means split mind. When our mind is split, we are not very productive. When our mind is not productive, we are not very strong, not resilient. And so your mind split into two like this. And so to solve this problem, whenever you are anxious, then convert this split mind into a mathematical formula. Math is problem solving. You know that, right? Math is all about problem solving, but so is psychology. That's why psychologists like to use X and Y theory. Math, problem solving, doing matrix. So you want to study psychology, you got to have a good grade in math, because a lot of it is about solving problems. So X is awareness, Y is demands, and whenever we have a problem, it's right in the middle. So it's always neutral. Problems are neutral. It's how you value that problem. That problem is not a problem until you declare the problem as a problem. Then the problem becomes your problem. You got a problem? Let me try again. The problem is not a problem until you declare the problem as a problem. Then the problem becomes your problem. You got a problem? Meaning, if you don't declare the problem as a problem, there's not a problem. Until you own it, until you declare, oh, this time, I'm in it, I'm in trouble. You just declare it, it becomes your problem. So if you don't declare it, then you don't have that problem. It's what you said about the problem. So your demands will escalate, go upwards to your y-axis when you have a very negative bias towards yourself and others in your life. Why does it always happen to me? This is terrible, or you catastrophize using words like, this is terrible, this is horrible. It's you know, this is too much for me, it's overwhelming. And so when you declare words like this, you're actually catastrophizing the problem, you're actually increasing the y-axis. So when you have a problem, you know, be mindful how you declare it. I'm in trouble. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? So those are negative bias. And when you do that, it escalates the Y. When your Y begin to escalate, your emotions begin to pump. This time you begin to blame people for your problem, or you're ashamed of your problem. Then that will lead to your resultant action. High Y-axis, low X. 99% of our stress comes because of this. Because once you declare your problems, you become anxious about your problem. Once you then you're zoned out. Remember split mind? You zoned out. You're more into the Y rather than the X. That means your awareness of your current, your present is gone. It's no longer there. And so you are now on your Y-axis. Your Y-axis are actually artificially being pumped up by your imagination. The problem is not the problem until you declare the problem as the problem, then the problem becomes the problem. So the problem is not the problem until you have that negative bias towards the problem, and then you artificially increase that problem by how you think about the problem. When you involve others into your problem, that guy is terrible, he made me do this. You start blaming people, involving more people into the problem, you are only increasing the Y-axis. So as a result of this, you are now fused with the problem. And so my patient will come and tell me and sit down on the couch and say, Doc, I am depressed. I say, hey, chotomate, wait. Your name that you fill in the form is Tommy. Since when you changed your name to depressed? Now they fuse themselves with the problem. I am the problem. I am depressed. I am anxious. I am angry. So I became the problem. I became the disorder. So how can Mr. Depressed help his depression? Tommy can fight his depression, but Mr. Depressed cannot fight his depression because you're fused with the problem. So you are actually being conned by the devil to fuse yourself with the problem, and that's why you are confused. It takes an Asian to teach you English. You are now conned into fusing with your problem. I am depressed. Hey, Martin Luther King Jr. said, darkness cannot cast out darkness, only light can. Mr. Depressed cannot cast out his depression. Only Tommy can fight his depression. I am Tommy, I have a problem to solve. Not I am depressed. I am Tommy, I have a challenge right in front of me, and I need to deal with this. Not I am depressed. Because once you are sucked into your emotions, you lost your identity of who you really are. So you become mad. I'm mad, I'm angry. Okay, you are all this emotional stuff. You lost your identity. You know, Jesus appeared. Who are you? I'm mad. Okay, hell, you go. So, now you are angry, you attack, you are bitter, you are critical, cynical, you are detached, and then you escape. Now, all the A, B, C, D, E of problems of life. You know, so sometimes we try to solve all this. You are angry, let me try and solve your anger. You are bitter, let me try and work it out. You are cynical, you're critical, let's try to change your attitude, your behavior. You're detached, let's try to change this. You escape using drugs, alcohol, and substance abuses, let's try to change this. It never works because you're trying to deal with the symptoms. All these are symptoms. Anger is symptoms. Drug addiction, all kinds of pornography, addiction, whatever, are all symptoms. What is the real problem? The y-axis. The y-axis. The mind is already negative about themselves. That's why I need to free myself from this pain by getting drunk, getting high. And so every time they got high, they got drunk, they forgot about the problem, it reinforced that behavior that they have actually escaped, at least temporarily, from the problem. So trying to detox them from drugs and all that may work for a while, but if we don't change the mindset here, we don't change this, they will always return to such behaviors. And that's why relapse cases are very high for addiction. It's because of this, not because of the habit. It's here. So the emotions are now pretty irregulated. So they have mood swings, angry, throwing stuff, unconscious about their environment, unconscious with the people that they speak to, even with their loved ones. They will beat up, abuse, yell, and shout out because their mind is already anxious, already in the unconscious mode. Show me someone who is yelling and shouting. I'll show you someone who is not conscious about his environment already. Remember the split mind? 100% is on his imagination. 0% is on the present. So he doesn't care if you're my mom, if you're his husband, or his wife, or his child. He doesn't care. I'm angry. Bush, bush, boof. Like Jackie Chan, yeah? Yeah. And so in order for us to deal with our problems, we need to be more aware, have more self-awareness. Go on to the x-axis. Did you know that X, the letter X in Greek, stands for Christ? That's why on Christmas you have the Xmas. It doesn't cross out Jesus. Actually, it meant Christmas in Acts. Acts, the letter X in Greek means Christ. So, if you have Christ in you, you have that X factor. Oh, wow. You have that X factor. You know, people get into competition to find out whether they have the X factor or not. As Christians, you already have it. You have the X factor in you. He that's in me is greater than he that's in the world. But when you are anxious, this verse means nothing. If God is for me, who then can be against me? Yes. But when you're anxious, this verse means nothing because you're no longer conscious. Let's go Xward. Every time you are going through some emotional issue, mind your language. Don't catastrophize your problem. Don't say, oh, this time is bad, it's terrible. This is awful. And using all kinds of words to only compound your crisis. Now, go on the X word. Consider it first before you own the problem. Consider. Think about it. The problem is not a problem until you declare the problem as a problem. Then it becomes your problem. You got a problem? You know the problem, right? So if you don't declare the problem as a problem, then the problem is not a problem. So what's the problem? So why do I use the word consider? To consider. Because the Bible tells us, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, not just one trial. I mean, if today you come in here, you have no problem, you're not facing any trial, good for you. Can I prophesy? It's coming. All of us will face trials of many kinds. If you're not facing any today, in this season, woohoo, enjoy while it lasts. Enjoy while it lasts. But when it comes, consider it pure joy. What's going on in the mind of James? Why did he say consider it pure joy when you face of trials of many kinds? Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and let perseverance finish its works so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. When you checked out on the word consider that was used by James, that word is hegemai. It means to be a leader, to rule, to command, to have authority. So when you face trials of many kinds, take charge. That's what he says, take charge. Don't let your imagination run wild. Remember the story I told you this morning about this woman? I want to die because he died because of me. I saw, eventually I told her, he did not die because of you. He died for you. That changes everything. That changes everything. You take authority. When you have a problem, don't be overwhelmed by the problem with your own negative biasness. Take charge. That's what the word consider means in Greek. Take charge. Be an overcomer, not an overwhelmer. Take charge, that's what I mean, right? To be in control. Why are we so flustered? Why do we get so flustered so easily? Maybe we are not taking charge. We're allowing the problem to take charge. We're allowing the devil, the enemy, to have more power over our God who lives in us. If we have an altar here that people pray to, we know that, we will not pray to the altar. That's not what we do. But we pray to the God of our anxiety that became our God. Because the anxiety is more powerful than the God that lives in us. You bow down to this God called anxiety. That becomes your God. You broke the very first commandment. Think about it. Take charge. So when I have a problem, I take charge because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This is a 10 fingers prayer that I use to teach my patients who are Christians. I say, you got 10 fingers? They say, yes. And show me your 10 fingers. You're a Christian. Let's do this together. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This is me. This is me. This is God. Through Christ. Through Christ. Christ is on the 7th finger. Perfect, right? Perfect. See the letter J? Letter J? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This is me. And if I am in collaboration with God, power. That's why you pray, right? And what's the point of prayer when you don't believe in the power of God? Right? You got 10 fingers? You got? Okay, if you want, anyone with the 11th finger? If you have an 11th finger, that will be your exclamation mark, okay? All right, everybody, show me your 10 fingers. All right, if you really believe in it, yell it out, shout it out, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay. No, not good enough, not good enough. You got to really be, I believe this, okay? 1, 2, 3. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All right, me, in collaboration with God, we got power. Oof. I get excited. So are you taking charge of your problem, or your problem is taking charge of you? That's why James used the word hegemai. Take charge. Take control. Be a leader. Lead over your problem and not let your problem lead you. Amen. Now, he said this. When you face with many trials, and if you're not taking charge, you succumb to it. You get depressed, you blame others, and then you get old because you're overwhelmed, you lost control, and then you could indulge in dysfunctional habits like drinking, drugging, and all that, and then you become immature. You're not complete because you are overwhelmed. Why is that? Consider, take charge. Why are you taking charge? Because, hey, I have a problem, and this is a test. Because if my faith cannot be tested, I cannot be trusted for more by God. Let me repeat this again. If your faith cannot be tested, you cannot be trusted. If you want to do more for God, He will test your faith. He will grow you to the next level. Every new level that you grow into, there will be new devils waiting for you. You know that? You know that? Yeah, all right. Whew, I'm getting excited. It's supposed to be a teaching session, not a preaching session, right? So you will be tested. And when you are tested, you pass the test, then you earn this thing called patience. When you are patient, you have this thing called perseverance. When you are able to persevere and not give up, then you are now mature. You are complete because you are in control. Let me say this. No trials, no growth. That's the purpose of your trial. That's the purpose of your trial. How many of us want to experience the miraculous power of God? How many of us want to experience the miraculous power of God? Yeah, I see a few hands. Good, good. And God saw the hands too, God saw the hands too. Because if you want to experience the miraculous power of God, then God will give you a problem first. If you have no problem, why do you need that? Why do you need the experience? If you're doing well, hey, enjoy while it lasts until when you're faced with trials. God, now it's time to experience you. Woo-hoo. Come on. So then you can do your Jackie Chan move on your problem. No trials, no growth. Every time you have a problem, you solve the problem, you become wiser. Did you know that? Oh man, a child will never learn how to walk until they learn how to balance after many times of falling. You become better. So the first thing you need to do is to consider, take charge. How do you strengthen the mind? Don't let your problem rule you. See, your mind is distracted. You're split. All right. So when you face a crisis, what's the first thing you need to do? Take charge. Consider. Take charge, yeah. So be mindful. Be present. Consider. Don't let the problem overwhelm you. You overcome the problem. Then you grow to the next level. And in the next level, you will face a new devil. Every new level, you will face a new devil. Satan will send his higher ranking devil to come and contend with you as you grow. As you grow. Secondly, we need to have courage. We need to have courage. 3 times, God told Joshua, be bold and be confident. Did he say that? No. God told Joshua, be bold and be courageous, not confident. Be bold and be courageous. The task ahead is big. Many times he say, hey, the task ahead is big. Be confident. Go, go, be confident. No, 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 no. God did not tell Joshua, be confident. Go, go, go. But God told Joshua, be courageous. And in the latest study by psychologists on confidence, especially by this guy, his name is Dr. Thomas Komoro Pre-Music. I like his name, Pre-Music. His family existed before music ever came along. So in this book on confidence, after decades of study on this thing called confidence, he then concluded that confidence is virtually worthless. All these motivational speakers telling you, stand up and be confident. Useless. If you have been trying to raise your child and tell the child to be confident, it's not going to work. Raise your child to be courageous, because courage precedes confidence. If you're confident, it means that you are very familiar with the things that you are doing. Confidence comes from familiarity. You have been an accountant for 25 years. Going to the problem, solving accounting problem is not a problem for you, right? Because you have done it for many years, so you're confident of solving the problem. But if this is your first audit, after graduating from the university, your very first audit, but you need that courage to say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try it. See, when a person falls, it's not confidence that pick them up, it's courage. It's courage. I'm going to try again. I'm going to face this again. I'm going to attempt this again. That's courage speaking. That's not confidence. You see, why did they come to this conclusion that confidence is virtually worthless? They append this courage to failures. We all know, if you fail in one thing, you're not a total failure, are you? No, right? We believe that. Okay, we agree on that. Now, just because you're confident in accounting, that doesn't mean that you're going to be confident in every aspect of your life. But that's what makes people believe. I'm confident I can do this. Then you fall, poof, then your confidence crash, and then your ego crash. Then your anxiety rise up. I can't do this. I just can't do this. So if you embark on something new, you need courage. If you are going through crisis, you need courage. Courage. The Bible did not tell us to have courage in our flesh. The Bible did not tell us to have confidence in our flesh. Paul says in Philippians chapter 3, verse 3, have no confidence in your press. Every time the word confidence in the Bible is about having confidence in God, not confidence in yourself. Because when you are confident in yourself, then you can become complacent. And that's how people fall. Pastors fell because of success. They became complacent. A righteous man departs from evil, and a fool rages in his confidence. So after decades of research by Dr. Pre-Music, he now agrees with what the Bible says. Doesn't have to do any research. It's found in the Bible. Hello? Amazing. The author of the Bible in the book of Proverbs do not have all the data, but he has the one who gives the good news. Be strong and be courageous. God told that to Joshua. Firstly, when you encounter a problem, you want to strengthen this mind, consider it. Don't go into all these rhetorics about the problem and how you're going to be overwhelmed by this, how life is going to be a mess for you. Don't go into that. Take charge, take control, be in control, be a leader. Don't let the problem lead you. And then be courageous. I'm going to face this. I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to stand up. If I need to apologize, if this is what it takes to solve the problem, I'm going to be courageous to say, I'm sorry. Husband, if you need to say sorry to your wife, say sorry. It takes courage. Honey, I'm... All right. The opposite of anxiety is what many people would have thought is confident. No. The opposite of anxiety is courage. If you are anxious, if you are shy, you want to build relationship with someone else, you want to get attached, you want to find a love partner. It's not about confidence, it's not about how you look, it's about courage. Go to the person and say, hi, I like you. If the person says, no, I don't like you, it's fine. You just lost a good candidate here. Walk away, find a new one. Find another target, right? Life is about moving target, you know that? Yeah, if you only have one person and this is your only person, if he or she said no, then oh man, it's terrible, right? No. Okay, you don't like me, that's fine. I can move on. Move on quickly. Courage is not the lack of fear, but the ability to face it. Now, that's different. There is a difference between courage and bravery. Okay, courage and bravery. Mel Gibson acted in this movie called Braveheart. It's about this guy called William Wallace who stood up for his people, the Scottish, to fight against the English people. Right? He stood up. He's a brave. He exhibited bravery. Bravery and courage are two different things altogether. What is bravery? Bravery is the ability to confront something painful or difficult or dangerous without any fear. It is a quality or a trait. Courage, on the other hand, is the ability to confront something painful or difficult or dangerous despite any fear. It is not a quality or trait, but a choice. I choose to stand up and say, I'm going to do this. I choose to stand and say, here am I, Lord, send me. Or some of us would say, here my Lord, send him. That's the difference between, those who are brave are 1 in a million. There's only 1 in a million of a guy like William Wallace. The rest of us, we need courage. We need courage. Because when we face something new every day, we need courage. Coming to America 7 years ago, I need courage. I don't know what to expect here. Nobody knows who Fred Toke is. In Asia, I'm very comfortable. People know me. But here, I'm a nobody. But I'm willing to try. I'm willing to stand up and say, yeah, stand up. Some people say, Fred, can you stand up? I am standing up. You see, courage gives rise to hope. If I'm going to stand up and say, I'm going to do this, it gives hope. You know what hope does? Hope creates possibilities. Our God is a God of possibilities. All things are possible with God. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 says, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. 3 things about this verse, all right? 3 things about this verse. Perhaps this is my interpretation of this verse, right? It may make sense to you when I explain this. Firstly, most important thing about this verse is not faith. It's about what you do not see with your physical eyes. If you want to be healed, then you got to have the hope of healing. So, very first thing, if you want to exercise this verse, is to envision in your mind. What do you want? What do you want God to do? What do you want God to use you? Envision with your mind. It's not something that's physical, you cannot see, but you can hope. If you are ill, you need healing, you can hope for the healing. Right? So I want to be healed. Then hope is my right foot. I need to stand up. I need to take the first step. Hope. Hope. I hope to be healed. I hope to be healed. You only hope. But it needs faith to get the engine cranking. If you say, I hope, but your faith doesn't move, you hope and hope and hope and hope. So I hope, I want to be healed. I want to be used by God. I want to be a public speaker, for instance. I hope. Then faith. Boom. Start the engine. Then hope. Then faith. Then this is how we walk. By faith. Hope, faith, hope, faith, hope, faith, hope, faith. But it takes courage for the faith to take that first step. So, if you imagine in your mind, if you are hoping for something to take place, then you must step out in hope and then let faith finish the job. Without faith, you cannot finish anything. Dr. Jerome Groupman, he's an oncologist, and I believe he's a Christian, but in this book he doesn't declare his faith. And he has been diagnosing his patients with, because they suffer from cancer. And he found that some of his patients actually survived much, much longer than the diagnosis that was given to them. Then he was like intrigued. Why did some of my patients live longer and why some did not? So he did a study among all his patients, and by the way, he is also a Harvard professor. So he did a study on this and found that those who survive cancer are those who have this thing called hope. They have the courage to fight. And this is what he said in the book. To hope under the most extreme circumstances is part of the human spirit to endure and give miracle a chance to happen. It takes courage to say, I'm going to fight this. The signs of success here tell us that if you said, I won't do anything, you will never be successful. Percentage of success, 0. Would you want to do this? Nope. Okay, you will never be successful. And at least the things that we are trying to engage you to do. But if you say, instead, I won't, I said, I don't know how, then that increases the chances of success to 20%. It's not that you won't, it's just that you don't know how. Now, if I can teach you how, and you want to learn, that increases success by another 20%, and now it's up to 40%. And I believe I can, then your chances of making it in life is 60%. And then you said to yourself, I'm going to try. Then, chances of success now is 80%. Right? If you are indulged in alcohol, in the addiction of drugs, and you want to get out of this, and you say, I won't, you will never get out. But if you say, I want to try, I don't know how, good for you. Let's learn the how. And you believe you can, good for you. Let's try it, good for you. First attempt, fail. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But a lot of us, when we fail in our first attempt, we go back to that 0%. I won. Because this is your automatic algorithm of the brain. Because it's wanting to protect you from further pain. Don't try. So you're going to fight this thing in your head that tells you, don't try. Don't try again. It's fruitless. Or some of us will say, I told you, I can't. I told you. You see now, I failed. I told you. The problem is not a problem until you declare the problem as a problem, then the problem becomes your problem, right? So we got to challenge this mindless thinking. Challenge this by not going back to 0, by going back to I want to learn. Perhaps I may not know enough. Like this little cub is trying to follow its mom in climbing. There's no sound to it, so don't worry about it. Because it's lighter, it has less traction on the snow, so it struggles. Lose traction again, and this time he gets smarter. Now he tries to get onto the footprints of his mom. If you can turn off this light, that would be great. Yeah. Yeah. You know why he made it? He didn't give up. He didn't go back to, I won't try again. I want to learn how. So he find traction among those rocks and the footprints of his mom. The whole thing is don't give up. I want to learn how. I believe I can. I'm going for it. I fail. I'm going to learn again. I'm going for it. And then I made it. Then it's done. There is this thing called the power of yet. Don't give up. Success hasn't arrived yet. Yet. So don't end a statement with a period, but end it with the word yet. Because yet create that possibilities. When you said, I can do this. Yet. Okay, you respond with yet, okay? I can do this. Yet. Yeah, now yet, it creates a possibility. Yet. I'm not good at this. Yeah. It creates possibilities, right? It doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. Now it works, okay. I don't get it. Okay, very good. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. From I can to yet. You got to learn to be patient. Now, if we are all betting people, right? I assume all of us are Christians. We don't bet. We don't gamble. But if you are a betting person, you bet on the Roman Empire and Jesus and his ragtag team of disciples. Who would last longer? Let's assume all of us go back to the time of Jesus. You see the Roman Empire? They were the superpower. You look at Jesus and his crew, his 12 disciples, fishermen and tax collectors and all that. Now you look at Jesus and his men and the Romans and their soldiers. Who would have outlasted who? If you have $10 to bet during those days, who would you have betted on? The Romans, yeah? The Romans. I would have betted on the Romans too. But where are the Roman Empire today? Yet. See, Jesus did not tell his disciples to fight the Romans. Jesus essentially taught his disciples to outlast the Roman Empire. Your time is not yet come. The whole concept of life is not to beat your competitor. The whole concept of life is to outlast your competitor. As long as you are in the game, as long as you don't give up, you have not lost. It's only when you wave the right flag, the white flag, and that's where you declare that you are a loser. If you stay in the game, you have not lost. The disciples stayed despite all the persecution that they faced. They stayed and they outlasted the Romans. 12 men, 11, one betrayed Jesus. Those 11 guys are the reason why we meet tonight. We outlasted. So when you have a problem, when you're going through a crisis, don't let your negative bias take over, but consider, be courageous, and change your mindset. Change your mindset. Be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. If you think that you fail, then you fail. Remember the lime? Your brain tells you how to respond. Your thoughts can bind you. Your thoughts can free you. It goes either way. Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7 says, "For as he think in his heart, so is he." There's this man called Nathan Serensky. He was sentenced in 1977 on a fabricated charge of spying for the Americans. Now, he's a Jew living in Russia, but he was arrested because the Russian thought he was spying for the Americans. And he spent 9 years in a Siberian prison. In that 9 years in prison, he spent half of the time he spent in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is the worst form of punishment. And so in the 4.5 years he spent in a solitary confinement, he actually played chess in his mind, because he said, when I am freed, I am going to challenge the world chess champion. He's not going to be defeated in his mind. I'm in prison, but I'm going to beat the world chess champion. So he played chess in his mind, because he's not allowed to have chess pieces in the prison cell. He just imagined the move in his mind. So upon his release, Serensky was among 25 Israelis to take on world chess champion Garry Kasparov in a simultaneous chess exhibition. Guess what? He was the only one among the 25 that beat that world chess champion. So after beating Kasparov, Serensky said he honed his skills while in prison, where he spent the long days in solitary confinement playing three, not just one, three simultaneous games in his mind. Physically, he may be in prison, but his mind is outside. It's your mind. And this was his game against Garry Kasparov. See, the prison walls did not stop him from getting ready for his next big thing. He rose to the occasion while in prison. It's in the mind. Romans chapter 12 tell us, be transformed by the removal of your problem. Is that what he said? No. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But the way we live is to ask God to remove our problem. But the Bible clearly said, you want to be transformed, change your mind. But we want God to open up the Red Sea for us and clear our problems on behalf. God, this guy's a troublemaker. Take him out. Whoosh. But God says, I'm going to put him in. He's in there. You got to change your mind about this guy. That's what the Bible says, right? Renewing of your mind. So you got to change your mind. You know, if you go to Thailand, in this city called Chiang Rai in the North Thailand, you see an elephant training camp. Baby elephants that were just born, they will be tied to a huge tree. And because they were young, they were weaker, they could not escape. So every time they try to run, the rope gets tighter and it hurts the leg. And they come to a breaking point where this young elephant gave up trying. This elephant gave up trying. And when it grew to a humongous animal, all the owner needs to do is just tie him a rope to a small little pole. He will stay there because his mind has already surrendered to the imprisonment here. All adversity is neutral. It's what you make of it. If you're in the valley, let me say this. If you're in the valley right now, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no light at the end of the valley. I used to say that to my patients, and now I realize I was wrong. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no light at the end of the valley, because David said, God's rod, his staff, were with me in the valley. The light is not at the end of the valley. The light is in the valley. If you keep looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, you're not walking through the tunnel with God. God did not prepare a table at the end of the valley waiting for David to have supper with him. God prepared that table in the presence of his enemy. Folks, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's light in the tunnel if you care to look. You gotta change your thinking. You know, you're in the valley. Change your thinking. You gotta walk through. You have not walked into. The Bible clearly said, I walked through the valley of shadow of death. David did not say, I walk into. I walk through. Walk through. And while I'm walking through, I am not alone. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Yes. Yeah. See, all problems are neutral. It is your belief system that dictate the value, the emotional value of the problem. That's your B. So your B will then result in your C. So if your B is negative, you are negative about yourself, you begin to blame yourself, scold others, you're so negative, guess what? You make your A, instead of being neutral, into a problem. When you make your A into a problem, guess what? Your C will be negative too. It's not the rain that will upset you. It's what you think about the rain that upset you. Some people are celebrating because there's a rain. Now, if we put faith in our B, right, instead of being negative, faith in our B, when we go through situation, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, me and God together power. We put faith into our B, in our belief system. With God, I can. You know what? It changes your A. It changes your A. Your faith will change your A. Your adversity, I can overcome this. Then I don't need to suffer the consequence of it. The light is not at the end of the valley or the tunnel waiting for you. It is in the valley. Be transformed by the removal of my problem? No, by the renewal of my mind.
بدأت ألعب تنس طاولة بعد الحادثة بثلاث سنين. بدأت أمسك المضرب تحت دراعي وفشلت، وبعد كده حاولت فمسكت المضرب ببقي وبدأت أعدي الكورة. بس بعد الحادثة بثلاث سنين في 86.
Wow. Look, he lost his arm. He lost his arm in an accident when he was 10 years old. He could have just complained and moped and blamed. But life goes on for this man. He did not put a negative B to his adversity. He put a positive B to his adversity, and so he is enjoying his life. Now, if your X is high, and so are your Y, if your X can meet your Y, that's where you have resilience. You grow your X, not grow your Y. But if you grow your X, keep growing on your X, then you find resilience. And this is where you find another fuse instead of diffusing rather than confusing. Right, so another A, B, C, D here, you accepted the problem because you have belief in yourself, in God, you have courage, you have deference to others, you are now engaged. So, the problem does not start with the conflict. It starts with how you view the problem.
Working on that.
You're working on that?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the... Please try again in a moment.
Someone is eavesdropping. So the problem is not the problem until you declare the problem as a problem. It starts not with the problem. It starts with how you view the problem. Are you considering it as in hejibai, take control, or you allow your negativity to come in and take over? Your problem doesn't start with a problem. It starts with what you say about your problem. Anxiety, split mind. We make it into something that's solvable. So if you want to cultivate mental fortitude and resilience, 3 C's. Number 1, consider. Number 2, be courageous. Number 3, you have a change mindset. And all this must be pivoted by Christ in everything that you do. And this is where you can fortify your mindset. One more time. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All right? Me and God together, what do you have? Power. Power. God bless you all.